Ready? Let's begin!
Jonny and Daniel join forces to go up against Cobra in the All Valley tournament. They decide to switch dojos. However, with Jonny's strike first and Daniel's peaceful methods, training's not off to a great start, and they're starting to regret forming an alliance. Kreese is trying to convince Robbie to join Cobra. He's hesitant to join, but he's considering it. Sam also tries getting him to join Miyagi-Do, but she was too late, seeing Tori and Kreese already got to him. Kreese visits an old friend, Terry Silver. He wants them to join forces to take down Miyagi-Do and Eagle Fang after learning they've teamed up. Kreese quickly realizes getting him to join forces is not as easy as he thought, as Terry's left his Cobra days behind and wants no part in their rivalry. Though Terry refused his offer, Kreese's words stuck with him as he now feels the rush he once felt in the past. Jonny and Carmen still hasn't told Miguel they're seeing each other, and Miguel mentions Jonny's date that was not with Carmen. Daniel and Jonny tries to find common ground again, but Daniel suggests Jonny joins Miyagi-Do and disable Eagle Fang. Jonny refuses and the two argues that ended with them deciding to go their separate ways. Robbie arrives at Cobra replacing Kreese for the day. He challenged anyone who questioned his authority, and that resulted in a fight with the entire dojo. He and Tori goes up against each other, and though she lost, she thinks he should reconsider joining Cobra. Daniel and Jonny arrives at Miyagi-Do to break the news to the kids, but instead they see them all working together. They decide to teach each other their techniques in an effort to merge both dojos into one. Amanda visits Tori and tells her to stay away from Sam and threatens to take her down if she lays a finger on Sam before the tournament.
Yo, will you shut the hell up?
Tori! I've had enough of your attitude. You're fired.
She reveals everything to Kreese, and he confronts Amanda, making her regret her actions.
So you might want to leave the girl alone. Or deal with the consequences.
Anthony manipulates Kenny online, pretending to be a girl from gym class and getting him to show up at the park cosplaying as his favorite character. Along with his friends, Anthony chases him through the park, but Kenny manages to escape and later learned of a video spreading across school. And this time around, things are going great for Jonny and Daniel now that they're getting a hang of each other's teachings. As a part of his training, Jonny gets Daniel to strike first. Kenny decides to join Cobra but Robbie refuses to train him at first, but then agrees to show him a few moves.
I was living a perfectly happy life, and you had to go mess with my head by dredging up the past.
Miyagi-Do and Eagle Fang are divided, with Jonny training Miyagi-Do and Daniel training Eagle Fang. While Daniel's training involves catching a koi, Jonny's includes jumping between two roofs. After his speech, he convinces Sam, who makes the jump. He took his own advice and asked Carmen on a date. Kenny goes back to Cobra and proves he's not afraid anymore, and it's enough to convince Kreese. Back at Miyagi-Do, Miguel caught a koi and Daniel's impressed. Jonny gets jealous after seeing Miguel and Daniel getting closer. Terry returns to Cobra and decides to take Kreese up on his offer to train the dojo alongside him. Amanda and Sam sees Tori at her new job as an entertainer for kids. Sam's making fun of Tori, and Tori decides to get revenge using the kids to throw glitter on her. Terry's making his intentions clear. He convinces Robbie to face his fears, and previously learning Hawk threatened Kenny, Robbie shows up and tells Jonny to keep Hawk and the others under control.
I'm just using Cobra to get what I want.
Yeah, I'm sure you think that, but I'm telling you, you're playing with poison.
Later, Eagle Fang and Miyagi-Do is going up against Cobra to settle the score. Instead, Eagle Fang and Miyagi-Do turned the sprinklers on, making Cobra more determined for revenge. Daniel and Jonny aren't the only ones who's different. Terry learns Kreese's teachings are way different than his, as he encourages the kids to use anger to their advantage. Jonny isn't happy with the kids' actions, but Daniel's proud they stood up for themselves. Kreese and Terry shows up at Miyagi-Do and eventually makes a deal with Jonny and Daniel that if they lose the tournament, they will no longer be senseis and their dojos will cease to exist.
We get to work, so we can wipe them out with that arrogant little prick.
This causes Daniel and Jonny's alliance to be falling apart as they now try to decide who's best to lead the kids now with this new threat. They decide to have a small tournament where the winner gets to train both dojos. The fight begins, and after a lot of close calls, it ended with a draw.
Go to another angle. There's no other angle.
As they look into who won, Hawk shows up after being attacked by the Cobra Kai kids who shaved his head. Jonny's now set on getting revenge and argues with Daniel that ended with him taking Eagle Fang elsewhere to train. The executives made a few adjustments to the All Valley tournament, and while Miyagi-Do likes these new changes, Jonny's not a fan of these adjustments. He tries to find female recruits but discovers he must try way harder to get them to join. Tori visits Amanda seeking help with her aunt who threatened her. Amanda offered to help when Sam walks in and is not happy seeing Tori. Daniel learns of this, and Amanda explains Tori reminds her of her younger self and she wants to be there for her and to give her the support she needs.
Tori's young and upset, and maybe she's a lost cause, but
We'll never know if we don't try to help her.
After Hawk's interaction with Cobra Kai, he decides to quit Miyagi-Do. Dimitri tries to convince him to reconsider and reveals they're still best friends even after everything they've been through. This is enough to get Hawk to rejoin Miyagi-Do. Sam visits Aisha, who now lives in Santa Barbara. After talking with her, Sam returns home and threatens Tori, telling her she's coming for her. Daniel runs into Robbie and tries again to convince him to leave Cobra Kai. When Terry intervenes, threatens Daniel, and tries to get under his skin, mentioning their old training days. After days of searching, Jonny finally gets the perfect female candidate to join Eagle Fang. Anthony gets jealous after seeing Leah's interested in Kenny. He gets jealous and steals Kenny's clothes, leaving him wandering through the hallways naked. Anthony lies, giving the impression that he's the one being bullied. Daniel decides to teach him Miyagi-Do's method, but instead of actually doing what he was told, he paid someone to do it. Daniel's not happy he disobeyed his orders. Over at Cobra Kai, Terry decides to take a new approach to his training, where he challenged them to find their opponents' weakness and using it against them. Robbie and Kenny gets chosen to go up against each other, and listening to Terry's advice, he lies and takes Robbie down. Jonny is impressed with his new recruit, Devon, as she displays an impressive level of skill. Jonny's more worried about telling Miguel about Carmen.
Attracted to each other.
I get it. You guys are dating.
You're dating. Yes.
Kenny goes through with his plan to get his bullies alone and takes them down one by one. They get caught. Amanda and Daniel learns Anthony's the bully. Kreese does not like Terry's new methods and warns him to stay in line as he's only the lieutenant. Jonny runs into Shannon and learns Terry's been trying to get under his skin, gifting Robbie a car and offering Shannon a job and a stack of cash. Tori and Robbie arrive at prom together and put on a show for Sam and Miguel to see. Jonny breaks in Cobra Kai, where Terry lures him to an abandoned building. Arriving at the location, Terry attacks Jonny to prevent him from training the kids for the tournament. Kreese steps in and saves Jonny, and now Kreese questions his intentions. At Stingray's party, Miguel, Tori, Sam and Robbie gets in a fight that ended with them in the pool. And Sam and Miguel are drifting apart. Miguel heads home to find Jonny drunk, and he confesses he wants to be a better dad to Miguel. Miguel tells Jonny he loves him, but Jonny thinks he's Robbie.
I love you too, Robbie.
Stingray returns to Cobra Kai to prove his value, but Terry attacks him. The All Valley tournament has arrived. The first round has begun and Cobra Kai takes the lead. Daniel tries getting Miyagi-Do to rank higher, but they were all taken out by Cobra Kai, who's using their own moves against them. We move on to the quarterfinals with Devon going up against Tori, and Tori wins.
The goal is to win. I did what I had to do.
If all you care about is winning, then you really didn't learn anything I taught you.
Hawk goes up against Kyler and made it to the next round. Sam wins in the quarterfinals after deciding to use Eagle Fang's method rather than Miyagi-Do's. Robbie's opponents, Kenny, and though he put up a fight, Robbie won. Moving on to the semi-finals, Hawk and Miguel face off. However, Miguel attempts a tornado kick, falls and hurt his spine. He is set to recover and continue the tournament. Anthony tries apologizing to Kenny. Instead, Kenny gives him a beatdown and Robbie interrupts. Robbie feels responsible for the person he's becoming, but it's too late, seeing Terry has already taken effect.
Because tonight, Cobra Kai's gonna die.
Robbie continues to be victorious, defeating Dimitri in the semi-finals. Miguel decides to forfeit the semi-finals, making Hawk the winner because he feels he's not fighting for himself anymore. He meets up with Sam and they both apologize to each other. It's the finals and Robbie goes up against Hawk. The tension rises as they both came close to winning. Using techniques he learned from both Miyagi-Do and Eagle Fang, Hawk is named the winner. Daniel apologizes and so does Jonny. The two put their differences aside to support the kids. It's Sam versus Tori in the finals. After accidentally hitting Sam, Terry suggests Tori cheats, but Kreese disagrees and tells her to play fair. With that, Tori wins.
Point! Winner!
Terry announces he'll be expanding Cobra Kai now that Eagle Fang and Miyagi-Do are no longer allowed to fight. Jonny visits Cobra Kai to see it all cleared out. Robbie admits to feeling responsible for Kenny's actions and tells Jonny he'll make things right. Tori sees Terry paying off the referee and realizes she didn't win fairly. With his plans for Cobra Kai, Terry decides to eliminate its weaknesses, having Stingray claimed Kreese attacked him. Kreese gets arrested and Terry takes over Cobra Kai. Miguel leaves town, explaining he's heading to find out more about his past and the truth about his dad. Carmen reveals Miguel's dad does not know he exists. Daniel hasn't given up and teams up with Chozen to win back their dojos.